Regular meeting number 35 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Hardin, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Monsignor Cody.
Let us pray. Good and beneficent God, be present to the members of Columbus City Council as they meet in regular session this evening. In these summer months, Lord, we all tend to forget that so many suffer because of the heat or lack of shelter or nourishing food or adequate clothing and access to health care. May we never be deaf to their needs, but may your Spirit encourage us to care for the least of our brothers and sisters. In all things, Lord, we ask your grace and blessing. May the members of this council and all the citizens of Columbus always remember that you are with us and present not only in us, but in all of our brothers and sisters in need. Amen.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
This week's communications received by the City Clerk's Office, they're listed on the agenda. They'll be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read in the record?
Yes, one item this afternoon, President Klein, dated July 5th, 2017, to the Council of the City of Columbus, Ohio, the undersigned and Assessment Equalization Board, appointed and acting pursuant to the City of Columbus Ordinance 1605-2017, passed by Columbus City Council on the 19th day of June 2017, respectfully submit the following as our report related to the estimated assessment for the Capitol Crossroads Special Improvement District. The parties have agreed to adjust the assessment to reflect a reduction in the square footage to be assessed, and the agreement appears to be fair and equitable. Zach McGuire, member. Dave Paul, member. And Tynesha Hardin, member. That's it.
Thank you, Clerk. Any questions for the Clerk on that correspondence? Seeing none, how about resolutions from members of Council? Councilmember Elizabeth Brown.
Thank you, President Klein. I would like to invite Heather Whaling up to the podium, please. Tonight I have Resolution 0180X-2017 to recognize Heather Whaling for receiving the NABO Visionary Award. Heather launched Gevin Communication from her dining room in 2009. The company has since grown into an award-winning public relations firm with offices in both Columbus and Chicago. For her success, her innovation, and her impact in the community, Heather was awarded the 2017 National Association of Women Business Owners Visionary Award, which is a big deal and a huge honor. Heather was also named a 2016 Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year in the Ohio Valley region. In addition to these awards, I want to highlight the work Heather has devoted to promoting paid family leave policies, which has been acknowledged and celebrated nationally in publications like Forbes, Entrepreneur.com, and Huffington Post. I've had the great pleasure of working with Heather and learning from Heather as the city put together our own paid family leave policy. Not only has Gebben implemented a 10-week leave policy of its own, setting an example for other small businesses across the country to follow, but Heather has also established a searchable database of crowdsourced paid family leave policies so that any business, big or small, can find creative and innovative options to help implement policies of their own. Our city policy is in that database, which we're very proud of. And what I love about this innovation of Heather's is it shows her deep commitment to what she decides to do and how she doesn't believe any good idea remains good if it just sits there in a vacuum. And she really wants to teach others in the community and be an example to everyone around her. So Heather, thank you for being here this evening. We truly appreciate everything you do as an entrepreneur and a small business owner and a champion of our city, of women, and of families. So first, before I turn the microphone over to you, I would like to move for adoption of Resolution 0180X-2017.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Heather, the podium is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for taking a moment to recognize the NABO achievement, and with this resolution, specifically Councilmember Brown, thank you for your leadership on paid family leave, helping set Columbus as a national example of what comprehensive family leave can look like. To all of City Council, thank you for taking a moment to recognize a small business owner. I live in German Village and my office is at the corner of 4th and Main, so live and work in downtown. And I'm grateful for all that you do to make this such a strong community for people to raise a family and start and grow successful businesses here. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Heather.
Nothing this evening, sir.
Thank you, President Klein. I just have a couple announcements. The first is the ABC Jobs Boot Camp, which will be held next Monday, July 8th, the 17th. It will be at the Center for Workforce Development, located at 315 Cleveland Avenue on the campus of Columbus State Community College. And there will be 18 employers there, and there will also be the citywide training and development has always been very supportive of the Jobs Boot Camp, and they will also be there providing some training. And there will be about 10 workshops for the individuals who are job seeking, from job seekers from dressing for the interview, how to prepare for your job search, your credit report, and how that weighs into your job search. So if you're looking for a job, or you are wanting to get a different job, maybe currently employed, please come out to ABC's Job Boot Camp. And it's from 11 to 3 o'clock on that day. Also, as you know, that through Health and Human Services, we are providing funding to produce markets in our community, and those produce markets provide individuals with free produce. And certainly want to just share that on the 11th, there will be one at the Epworth United Methodist Church at 4 p.m. On the 12th, at the Broad Street Presbyterian Church, again, it's at 4. On Thursday, Eakin Elementary School at the same time, Barnett Recreation Center on Friday the 14th, as well as Linden Recreation Center on Friday the 14th. And on the 5th, next Saturday, it'll be the Church of Christ of Apostolic Faith on Brittenell Avenue. So again, it's open to every resident of our community. Please go out and get some fresh produce to take back to your family. And again, Jobs Boot Camp, and Jobs Boot Camp is also supported financially by Councilmember Jiza Page, as well as all the council members who are in support of individuals going to the boot camps and hopefully getting a job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Tyson. We're fortunate enough to have current graduating class of the United Way Leadership Academy here. I believe that they're here with the Assistant Impact Director, Ms. Ware. Please come forward, and y'all can come up. The whole class, come on up. We'd like to just recognize you and honor you for the work that you're doing in your community. The podium is yours. If you could have the folks introduce themselves and maybe take a second to say where they're from, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity for us to share a few of our graduates, which was actually a class of 16 individuals who spent 7 months or 72 hours worth of participating in training in community engagement, government, understanding government, and the potential of our communities through neighborhood tours, our global community, and 3 historical neighborhoods in our communities in Columbus. So at this time, I would like each one to introduce themselves.
I'm Rita Cabral, and I am also part of the West Scioto Area Commission.
I'm Kim Watkins. I am under the MAC organization, also the coordinator for the Beechwood Community and Civic Association and Pinecrest Park Block Watch.
Hello, my name is Sydney West. I'm from the Hilltop greater area of Columbus. I'm a board member on the Shalom Zone and the West Side Coalition for the greater Hilltop of Columbus.
Hello, my name is Robert Patterson. I'm the president of the Marion Franklin Civic Association and the zoning chair for the 4 South Side Commission.
Well, thank you for your service to our community. You make our jobs a little bit easier on council, knowing that we can rely on you for your expertise, your community service, and your commitment. Do my colleagues have anything that they'd like to comment on? Councilmember Stinziano?
Thank you, President Klein. To echo your sentiment, you guys rattled off those affiliations and those groups you work with, but to us it means a great deal, the time and commitment you give and the impact you're having every day on your neighborhoods. So thank you for going through the program, and thank you for what you continue to do every day for the city and for your neighbors. Thank you, President Klein.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you all. Congratulations. Are there any comments by our elected officials, members of the administration? Mr. Dorian, the Treasurer's Office, the City Attorney's Office, City Attorney Pfeiffer. I don't see anyone from the judiciary here. Seeing none, are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent action portion of the agenda? May we now have a motion to waive reading of the titles of 38 legislation by the city clerk? Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, Clerk. Will you now read into the record the ordinance numbers of 38 legislation on tonight's agenda for first reading?
Finance Committee, Ordinance 1468, 1482, 1671, 1672, 1678, and 1679-2017. Health and Human Services Committee, Ordinance 1687-2017. Economic Development Committee, Ordinances 1624 and 1663-2017. Education Committee, Ordinance 1673-2017. Administration Committee, Ordinance 1583-2017. Public Safety Committee, Ordinance 1724-2017. Public Service and Transportation Committee, Resolutions 172X, 182X-2017, and Ordinance 1632-2017. Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinance 1544-2017. Technology Committee, Ordinances 1277, 1424-2017. Public Utilities Committee, Ordinances 1335, 1435, 1447, 1477, 1499, 1512, 1513, 1515, 1536, 1537, 1547, 1591, 1635, 1636, 1637, 1641, 1659, 1683, 1693, and 1725-2017. Rules and Reference Committee, Ordinance 1868-2017. Zoning Committee, Ordinances 1778, 1780, and 1782-2017.
Clerk, we do have a series of speakers on first reading. The first one is Jonathan Beard. Mr. Jonathan Beard. Let the record reflect that Mr. Beard is not here. Our next speaker is Joe Motiel. Mr. Motiel, welcome back to council. Looks like you have two speaker slips on two separate pieces of legislation. The first one is 1624-2017, which is in the Economic Development Committee.
Could you please read that?
I'm sorry?
Could you please read it?
Read the legislation?
If you don't mind. Thank you.
1624. One second, Mr. Motil. Okay, 1624 is an enterprise zone agreement with Meritex Enterprises for a tax abatement of 75% for 10 years and a capital investment of $10 million.
Thank you.
The floor is yours on that piece of legislation.
Thank you very much. Joe Motil, 167 West Cook in Columbus, Ohio. As stated in the Department of Development's fact sheet that has been provided with their recommendation for a 75% 10-year, $2.8 million tax abatement, this real estate investment and management company has been in existence for over 100 years, owns, leases, and manages over 11 million square feet of commercial real estate in 8 different markets throughout the United States. Having successfully been engaged in the Columbus market for 17 years now, and according to a press release from 2010, they have clients who are 4 of the 50 fastest growing companies in the Columbus metropolitan area. Meritex hardly seems to be a company on the verge of collapse. Why does this administration and city council continue to grant across-the-board tax abatements to virtually any business, those who construct speculative warehouse space, developers of apartments, condominiums, and office space, regardless of the millions, if not billions, of dollars in profits that they record annually? Why do we continue to fatten their bottom lines on the backs of those who can least afford increased property taxes? Maybe not in this case, but it is well documented that tens of thousands of dollars roll into most of your campaign committees from recipients of these tax abatements. And that certainly explains one of the reasons. And if the City of Columbus actually had a truly independent ethics office, they would put a stop to this criminal act. As I've said before, these so-called enterprise zone agreements are nothing more than a code word for come and get your tax abatement. It is far past due that most of these tax abatement zones that are primarily located in the most stable, profitable, and risk-free development areas of Columbus be eliminated. It's time to put an out-to-lunch sign on your doors when it comes to those seeking these tax abatements. Now is especially not the time, if ever, for granting tax abatements due to the reduced state funding for Columbus Public Schools and a probable 10-year levy request that will be on the ballot in November from Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities that will add $107 per $100,000 of property value. There is also a need for increased property tax revenue to help with the Children's Services Board that funds programs to help abused, neglected, and troubled children and their families. For senior services, and especially critical to make sure everyone is paying their fair share of property tax dollars, to increase funding to the Adam H. Board that relies primarily on property taxes and state funding so they may efficiently fund the necessary resources and treatment for this city's opioid addiction epidemic. So again, I would strongly urge City Council to look at its tax abatement policies. I know there's a plan coming out and so forth, but regardless of that, I'm very concerned about this continuation of across-the-board tax abatements. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Motillo. And what I'm going to do is have the Department of Development perhaps give a response, but I know that these are somewhat related, so let you go with the next speaker slip that you have pulled, which is the 1663. Do you want me to read that one as well?
Please,
okay.
If you wouldn't mind.
It looks like enterprise zone agreement with FI Industries, 75% abatement, 10 years for an investment of $3.3 million and the retention of 335 permanent jobs, 5 new jobs.
Thank you very much. Here we have a well-established Columbus-based family-operated company that's been around since 1935. It is one of the largest privately held manufacturers of adhesives and sealants in the United States and also has a plant in China. Estimated annual revenues are somewhere between $50 and $100 million. This is a company that has been on the cutting edge of developing wood adhesives, specialty polymers, and pressure-sensitive adhesives for decades. Some of its products are household names that are well respected for their superior quality, and even some of these products are specified by architects on construction projects. Franklin International claims that, and I quote, "We solve technical problems. We devote an unusually high percentage of our resources to research and development." end quote. I have no doubt that this is one of the reasons for their continued success in this industry, because of their commitment to research and development of their products. And although this $508,000 10-year tax abatement dwarfs in comparison to the Easton deal of $68 million, or the $12.8 million for Big Lots, or the $8.5 million for developer Shift Capital and Wood operating companies, or even the $10.4 million tax abatement for UPS, the question again is why? Why the handout? Because they are going to keep their 335 full-time employees and add 5 more jobs? Because they continue to do business and grow in Columbus? Are we obligated to reward them? Because they want to continue performing research and development with a new on-site facility? This is what businesses do. They grow, they make money, they increase their employment. Because they are located in an enterprise zone. Is this another reason? Why? I'm beginning to wonder if there's any area in Columbus that's not designated as an enterprise zone or a tax abatement district. This company has obviously been making wise business decisions for decades and is a proven leader in this industry. And they have profited by a pool of skilled Columbus workforce and other tangible benefits the city has to offer. There is yet no reason, once again, for this tax abatement. And I will say this once again. Now is especially not the time, if ever, for granting tax abatements due to the reduced state funding for Columbus Public Schools and a probable 10-year levy request that will be on the ballot in November from the Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities that will add $107 per year per $100,000 of property value. There's also a need for increased property tax revenue to help with the Children's Services Board that funds programs to help the abused, neglected, and troubled children and their families, for senior services, and especially critical to make sure everyone is paying their fair share of property tax dollars to increase funding to the Adam H. Board that relies primarily on property taxes and state funding so they may efficiently fund the necessary resources and treatment for the city's opioid addiction epidemic. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Mr. Motil while he's at the podium? Thank you for coming, Mr. Motil.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones.
Thank you, President Klein. Both of these projects are on for first reading tonight, and we would be happy to follow up with Mr. Motil with more details with regard to the specifics of the projects. What I would say is for both of them, each project in its own right represents a substantial investment in capital improvements to much-needed corridors, both in the southeast area as well as the south side. For the Meritex project, you have an approximate total capital investment of $10 million, and for the FI Industries, you have approximately $2.2 million, as well as an opportunity to really become a laboratory for recruiting top-tier international technical talent. So it's not only a matter of the retention and new jobs, but also the capital improvement and opportunity it brings to our neighborhoods. And again, I would be happy to have our Deputy Director follow up with Mr. Motil regarding the specifics of the agreements.
Thank you. Those are all the speaker slips for first reading. The following ordinances appear on our agenda as consent. Clerk Blevins, will you now read the ordinance numbers of each into the record?
Resolutions of expression 192X, 196X, 186, 190, 191, and 197, 185X-2017. Finance Committee, Resolution 179X-2017, ordinances 1091, 1551, 1254, 1560, 1569, 1587, 1595, 1625, 1629, 1640, 1644, and 1654-2017. Health and Human Services Committee, ordinances 1495 and 1674-2017. Economic Development Committee, ordinances 1494, 1524, 1638, 1810, and 1814-2017. Administration Committee, ordinances 1598 and 1600-2017. Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinances 1284, 1465, 1490, 1526, 1528, 1592, 1610, 1643, 1662, 1666, 1698, 1717, and 1738-2017. Small and Minority Business Development Committee, ordinance 1608-2017. Neighborhoods Committee, ordinance 1631-2017. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinances 1368, 1419, 1446, 1511, 1534, 1545, 1546, 1548, 1549, 1550, 1581, 1586, and 1609-2017. Housing Committee, ordinances 1572, 1573, 1574, 1575, 1576, 1577, 1578, 1670, 1675, 1699, and 1700, 1701, 1702, 1705, 1706, 1707, 1708, 1709, 1710, 1728, 1766, 1771, 1772, and 1773-2017. Technology Committee, ordinances 1019, 1426, 1462, 1498, 1530, 1621, 1769-2017. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 962, 1274, 1366, 1514, 1669, 1734, and 1764-2017. Judiciary and Court Administration Committee, ordinances 1695, and 1727-2017. Appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0098, 101, 107, 108, 109, 111, and 113-2017.
Thank you, Clerk. We do have two consent speakers. The first is Nathaniel Wilkins. Mr. Wilkins, welcome back to Council. Like you're speaking in favor of 1700-2017 in the Housing Committee.
1612 Arlington Avenue, Mr. Nathaniel George Wilkins, the Chairman of the Vacant Public North London area. I'm speaking on 1340 Minnesota Avenue. I just want to know how long it has been in the bank and what this property will be used for. I just would like to see a long-term rental for this property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Development could answer Mr. Wilkins' questions. The next speaker is Andrew Hutter. You are speaking in favor of 1524-2017. Welcome to Council.
Thank you, Council President Klein and members of Council, for your time today. As a member of the Create Columbus Commission, we consider it to be leading authority on the young professional experience in Columbus. Through strategic community building efforts and a targeted YP grants program, the Create Columbus Commission strives to make Columbus the next great American city and the nation's #1 place for YPs to live, work, and play. We believe that the city of Columbus will be better positioned to attract and retain talent if there are YPs at the decision-making table around the city, co-creating and forward-thinking with a vibrant, accessible, and integrated urban environment that is a magnet for talent. As a representative body, the Commission works to advocate and pursue initiatives that improve personal and financial health and wellness, like alleviating student loan debt, decrease dependence on personal vehicles, amplify the urban pulse, position young professionals as co-creators of the city. One of the keystones of the Commission is the annual grant program, funded in large part by the city. Over the years, we've significantly grown and matured this program. This year, 4 separate pre-application roundtable working sessions were hosted with open invitations to the Columbus community. These sessions resulted in 50 letters of intent submitted, and of those LOIs, 32 projects were invited to complete a full application. Each step of this process is rigorous and intentional. We've established a reusable grading assessment and rubric that enables us to judge applications with consistency, impartiality, and also to ensure alignment to the primary objectives to the Commission that I mentioned earlier. Each step, of the 32 full application invitations, we received 23 applications. We elected to fund 10 of those. This year's recipients included projects ranging from a mobile makerspace to enable pop-up entrepreneurial workshops around the city, to Capital Crossroads Alternative Transportation video series to encourage our community to replace car trips with other transportation options, to art projects in the Bronzeville and King Lincoln District, to historical building preservation awareness through the Columbus Landmarks Foundation. The professionalism of this process improves each year, and I'm proud of what this group has accomplished. In 4 years, the Commission has awarded community impact grants to over 35 projects. Every application demonstrates a passion for its mission and for Columbus, that should make other cities across the country jealous. It is these young professionals and their energy to which makes Columbus, the amazing gem that we know it to be. With that, I humbly thank you for your support of the 2017 grant program. And on behalf of the entire commission, I thank you very much for your work on City Council and for your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Hutter. Any questions or comments for Mr. Hutter? Thanks for coming down to council. May I have a motion for approval of these items designated as consent? Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, with the exception of 1284-2017 and 1368-2017, on which I'm abstaining.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Hardin?
Yes.
Page? Stinziano? Tyson?
Yes, with the exception of 1670-2017, with which I am abstaining.
President Klein?
Yes, consent carries with the notable exceptions. We'll now proceed to the reading of emergency tabled and second reading legislation. The first committee is the Finance Committee. It's chaired by the Pro Tem, President Pro Tem Tyson. The floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. I have Resolution 0152X-2017. It is to adopt the 2018 tax budget and to authorize and direct the city auditor to submit said budget to the county and to declare an emergency. I first have a motion to remove this resolution from the table.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. And now I want to begin the public hearing on this resolution. Passage of this resolution and the filing of this tax budget with the Franklin, Fairfield, and Delaware County Budget Commissions will entitle the City of Columbus to participate in local government funds, which are monies collected by the state of Ohio and then shared with various political subdivisions via the counties. It is estimated that the City of Columbus could receive around $22 million in local government funds this year. To qualify, this legislation must be filed with the county no later than July the 15th of this year. It is for this reason that emergency action is requested. The tax budget will also establish a property tax rates for the City of Columbus for the calendar year of 2018. Please note, this is solely referencing the property taxes that can be imposed by the City of Columbus. It is important to emphasize that this piece of legislation, most importantly, does not increase taxes, property taxes. It maintains the same property tax rate that has existed in the City of Columbus since 1956. It is important to note that the city has not sought an increase in its property tax rate since 1956. This piece of legislation is not appropriating any money. It is not authorizing any expenditures. This legislation is telling the County Budget Commission, which consists of the county auditor, the county treasurer, and the county prosecutor, that we are not seeking an increase in property tax rates. This does not apply to any other taxes. It does not relate to the property taxes levied by the school district. It does not relate to any property taxes that are levied by the county. And it does not relate to the property taxes levied by the county MRDD or any other social service agencies. This is an annual piece of legislation. This information has been compiled as a collaborative effort between the City Auditor's Office and the Department of Finance and Management. Mr. Auditor Dorian, would you like to make any comments?
Thank you, Chairwoman Tyson and all council members. Your explanation certainly I concur with, very thorough, I would say. I would like to mention one thing, however. You know, in future years, next year, property holders will most likely see an increase in their property taxes, and that's going to be because revaluations of properties made by Franklin County, which they're required to do. So I want to emphasize the tax rate of the City of Columbus, as Ms. Tyson indicated, has not changed now for over 60 years. And I like to brag about that with other cities because, quite frankly, I don't know another city that can make that statement. So I recommend you adopt the ordinance, and we will then, as Ms. Tyson indicated, we'll deliver these to the 3 counties in which the city of Columbus lies, and then we'll move on and prepare for November. As you know, the state legislature is still wrestling with the state budget. There is a provision that could negatively impact our local government fund, and certainly will have a bit of a negative impact with the passage of the last income tax bill with the state legislature. I would like to mention, however, I think many of you know Ms. Mindy Frank, our Division of Income Tax Administrator. Local governments in the state of Ohio owe Ms. Frank a great deal of gratitude. The impact, the negative impact on local government income taxes could have been far, far greater had it not been for her expertise and her persistence in the legislature and the various committees. So I thank her publicly, and I ask and recommend that you adopt the ordinance.
Thank you, Auditor Dorian. I will just mention that the Ohio Municipal League certainly speaks quite highly of Ms. Melinda Frank based upon the work that she has not only done for the City of Columbus in regards to the proposed budget at the state level, but certainly looking out for all the other cities within the state of Ohio. So thank you, Auditor Dorian. Is there anyone from the administration? Director Lombardi, do you want to make any comments on?
No, I think between you and Mr. Dorian, you did a great job explaining the ordinance.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers? Seeing none, this officially ends our public hearing on resolution number 0152X-2017. I'd like to move to adopt resolution number 0152X-2017, which will adopt the 2018 tax budget and authorize and direct the city auditor to submit the said budget to the county and to declare an emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. I now have ordinance number 1518-2017. It's to authorize the Director of Finance and Management on behalf of the Fleet Management Division to renew and modify an existing contract with Asset Works, Inc. for support of the Fleet Focus application utilized by the Fleet Management Division and the Department of Public Utilities in accordance with the provisions of the City Code relating to sole source procurement, and to authorize the expenditure of $908,456.84 from the Fleet Management Operating Fund, and to authorize the expenditure of $173,367.04 from the Department of Public Utilities Operating Funds, and to declare an emergency. This agreement was Asset Works provides a software platform, Fleet Focus, for the Fleet Management Division's enterprise operations systems. The Department of Public Utilities Fleet Operations Unit also utilizes a software platform and is therefore providing funding for this contract renewal. The Fleet Focus software platform contains maintenance and repair, fuel, GPS databases, which are interfaced with each other to provide comprehensive operations management, analysis, and tracking functionality for the Fleet Management Division. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. May I now move to Health and Human Services? Thank you. The first ordinance is 1525-2017 to approve the funding request of Hands On Central Ohio seeking financial assistance to address an emergency human service need pursuant to the Columbus City Code, to authorize the Director of Development to execute a grant agreement with Hands On Central Ohio to provide mobile phone-based emergency food scheduling service to residents of Columbus, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of $100,000 from the Emergency Human Services Fund and the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund, and to declare an emergency. The results of this program, which are really focused in the areas where we have Celebrate One, that in those areas, over 6,000 Columbus households were connected to 72,000 meals at food pantries in Linden, Franklinton, Hilltop, and the South Side. The service continued to grow since its adoption by residents seeking emergency food in these neighborhoods. From in 2015, it was 40%, and in 2016, 46%. I think when we started this, it was about, it was far less than that in terms of those individuals seeking emergency food. And also, the number of all residents accessing emergency food systems using this service from 28 in 2015, from 20 in 2015 to 28 in 2016. In 2017, we will schedule 15,000 emergency and good appointments via chat and text, and facilitating 184,000 meals for food insecure residents. So this is really important to make sure all individuals have access to food, which is part of our food plan. And with that, I would ask my colleagues for their support and move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. The next ordinance is number 1533-2017. Is to approve the funding request of the New Directions Career Center seeking financial assistance to address a human service need pursuant to Columbus City Code, to authorize the Director of Development to execute a grant agreement with New Directions Career Center to provide services to empower women in transition to achieve self-sufficiency, to appropriate $36,000 in the general fund, job growth subfund, and to authorize the expenditure of $36,000 from the Job Growth Fund and to declare an emergency. This is a very important program for women, for them to be able to explore career options that match their interests and values, identify and overcome barriers to meaningful employment, increase confidence and wellness in all areas of life, create a realistic and achievable plan for change, and develop networking and self-marketing skills. In this particular, for this funding of this program, 79% of the clients are low-income women between the ages of 35 and 64. 66% report a household income of less than $20,000. And 50% receive public assistance for helping with their basic needs. Individuals who complete this program will move from making around $20,000 or less to them getting jobs at $14.97 an hour, so increasing their wages to $31,137. So this is very important in our community. And with that, I would ask my colleagues for their support for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 1596-2017 to authorize and direct the Board of Health to modify by extending an existing contract with Equitas Health to continue to provide Naloxone to opiate users through August the 31st of 2017 and to declare an emergency. This ordinance will allow us to continue our partnership through Columbus Public Health, the harm reduction program. Our data has shown 187 lives were saved because of the use of Narcan by the Safe Point. And not only were those lives saved, but 43% or 44% were given access to alcohol and drug consultant. Many of them were given referrals for medical services, and they were also provided referrals to behavioral health services. And this legislation is also co-sponsored by Council President Klein and Councilmember Michael Stinziano. I move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. The next ordinance is to approve, is ordinance number 1712-2017, to approve the funding request of Homeport seeking financial assistance to address an emergency human service need pursuant to Columbus City Code, to authorize the Director of Development to execute a grant agreement with Homeport to provide expanded service coordination to residents of Homeport rental communities, to authorize the expenditure of $50,000 from the Emergency Human Services Fund and the Neighborhood Initiatives Fund, and to declare an emergency. This will help coordinate 5,600 residents of Homeport rental communities for a 12-month period for a total of $50,000. Expanded service coordination with the goal of equipping families and seniors with the knowledge, tools, and skills to maintain stably housed. It also will help them, again, stay in their permanent housing, and residents connect to resources that enrich their lives, and also work with collaborations and other partners. This legislation is co-sponsored by Councilmember Jiza Page, and I will ask my colleagues for their support.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. And the last ordinance I have in my committees this evening is ordinance number 1784-2017 to authorize Columbus Public Health to enter into a demonstration grant agreement with Primary One Health in support of supplemental medical, dental, and maternal health services, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure with the special income tax fund, and to declare an emergency. These funds will be used to work with an assessment. We're having a social determinant assessment tool to consider housing instability, homelessness, and other social and economic, social and environmental factors impeding their ability to address their health needs. It also will assist in providing an ultrasound equipment in the Linden area. It will also help provide for van transportation so that individuals can get to and from their care without any issues and concerns, and be able to easily transport their children. Also, what we're finding in our communities, that there is an issue on vision in some of these communities, and so we will also be providing a visual field analyzer to assist our providers in identifying glaucoma and other neurological issues in the patients. And lastly, it will be also a dental X-ray machine that will also be in the East Main Street office of Primary One. This equipment and the transportation is really key. What we have found, and certainly in our minority communities, that access to health, as well as providing dental and visual care, is very important, as well as an ultrasound machine. So with that, I would ask my colleagues to support this demonstration kind of initiative through the Primary One to make sure that our residents have access to the health care that they need in their communities. Move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. The next committee is Economic Development, is chaired by Councilmember Elizabeth Brown. Chair Brown, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. Tonight in Economic Development, we have Ordinance 1480-2017 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a downtown office incentive agreement with Kino Cozy Associates Limited. Kino Cozy Associates Limited provides technology design, service, and support to law firms and legal departments. They are currently headquartered in Chicago. With the passage of this ordinance, the company plans to lease space at 375 North Front to establish a new client service office where they plan to hire 36 new full-time positions. The ordinance authorizes the Department of Development to provide a downtown office incentive of 50% of withheld income tax on these new employees for a period of 3 years in consideration of the creation of these jobs and the investment of approximately $90,000 in renovation costs for the office space. Are there any questions for my colleagues? All right, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you, President Klein. Next, in Economic Development, we have Ordinance 1516-2017 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a dual-rate jobs growth incentive with DevVenture LLC and DevVenture Holdings LLC for a term of up to 5 consecutive years in consideration of investing a combined $240,000 to improve and equip new office space, retaining and relocating 24 full-time permanent positions, and creating 35 new full-time permanent positions, all within the next 3 years. DevVenture LLC has been developing, maintaining, and selling proprietary software to help thousands of car dealerships market their inventory online since 2007. They are planning to relocate and expand their operations from 3240 West Henderson Road to 2260 West Henderson Road, just down the road. As mentioned in the title, they will relocate 24 positions and are being offered this jobs growth incentive for the jobs created, which are 35 new positions. These positions range in salary from $20 to $43 hourly, as well as in consideration of their investment in physical space. The dual rate incentive, if you remember, is for 25% of income tax withheld on the new employees and 30% of income tax withheld on new employees who are residents of Columbus. In this way, we are encouraging the company to hire Columbus residents. Any questions for my colleagues? All right, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
That is all I have in my committee.
I do have one ordinance in economic development, ordinance 1601-2017, to authorize the director of the Department of Development to enter into a tax increment financing and cooperative agreement with Columbus Franklin County Finance Authority, Pizzuti Land LLC, and Pizzuti Rickenbacker West 1 LLC concerning the development of the site located in the city near Rickenbacker International Airport and declare an emergency. The developer has previously completed phase 1 of the development, consisting of an approximately 1.6 million square foot distribution center. In coordination with the private construction, the city established the Rickenbacker West TIF to reimburse the developer for investments in public infrastructure improvements required as a result of that development. To enable the construction of phase 2 of the development, approximately $3.4 million in additional public infrastructure improvements to Shook Road and Begro Road must be constructed. The Columbus Franklin County Finance Authority has agreed to provide the financing for the public infrastructure improvements by issuing bonds, provided that the city and developer enter into this agreement with the Finance Authority in order that the service payments received by the city from the Rickenbacker West TIF shall first be used to pay debt charges on and costs incurred in connection with the bonds. Emergency legislation is required to allow for immediate execution of the tax increment financing and cooperative agreement, which is necessary to facilitate the design of public infrastructure projects and the construction of the private development. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage by voice vote.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown? Yes. Hardin? Yes. Page? Yes. Stinziano? Yes. Tyson?
Yes.
President Klein.
And that's all we have in economic development.
Thank you, Chair Stinziano. The next committee is Public Safety. It's chaired by Councilmember Mitch Brown. Chair Brown, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Klein. Tonight we have Ordinance 14662017 to accept the proposed collective bargaining agreement between the City of Columbus and Fraternal Order Police / Ohio Labor Council, Inc., June 16 through 2017 through June 15, 2020, to provide wages, hours, and other terms and conditions of employment for employees in the bargaining unit as provided in the attachment hereto, and to declare an emergency. Assistant HR Director Carnevale, you have any comments?
Good evening, President Klein, Chairman Brown, and members of council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on Ordinance 1466-2017 to accept the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Columbus and the FOP Ohio Labor Council. The parties negotiated in good faith, and the agreement before you is a result of the very hard work of both teams, reaching an agreement on what both sides believes to be a fair deal. We are fortunate that labor and management can work together to deliver the best services to the citizens of this great city. FOP OLC members voted to ratify the contract, and tonight we are here for the support of City Council. Thank you for your support of the work of the Department of Public Safety and the Department of the Department of Human Resources, and thank you for your favorable consideration of this ordinance.
Director Carnevale, approximately how many employees are we talking about?
This unit's about 53 employees.
Thank you. If there are no questions, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Moving on, Ordinance 1825-2017 to authorize the appropriation of $5,301 within the Neighborhood Initiative Subfund in support of National Night Out and to declare an emergency. National Night Out is an annual crime prevention campaign held the first Tuesday in August. This campaign was created to bring police and neighbors together under positive circumstances and to make our neighbors safer, more caring places to live. On August 1st, turn your exterior lights on, get out, meet your neighbors, speak with law enforcement officers who serve your neighborhoods. This legislation was co-sponsored by every member of City Council, and I move for passage unless there are any questions.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
That's all we have in public safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The next committee is Public Service and Transportation. It's chaired by Councilmember Hardin. Chair Hardin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. This evening in Public Service and Transportation, we have Resolution 0187X-2017 to declare the city's necessity and intent to appropriate and accept certain fee simple title and lesser real estate in order to complete the intersection improvements of Central Avenue and Harrisburg Pike at Mount Street improvement project and to declare an emergency. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 1607-2017 to authorize the appropriation of funds within the Transportation of Grants Fund and within the Federal State Highway Engineering Fund, and to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Shelley and Sands for the purpose of constructing the arterial street rehabilitation Alum Creek Drive Freebus to Refugee Road project, and to authorize expenditure of up to $17,116,202.90 from the Streets and Highways Bonds Fund, and the Transportation Grants Fund and the Federal State Highway Engineering Fund to pay for construction, construction administration, and the inspection of the project, and to declare an emergency. This project will improve just over 1.25 miles of north of Alum Creek Drive from Performance Way to Integrity Drive North. Improvements include widening the 2-lane road to a 5-lane road with a 2-way centered turn lane. The project also includes a shared use path, sidewalk, street lighting, traffic signals, storm sewers, and the replacement of the existing bridge deck over State Route 104. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, I have Ordinance 1681-2017 to authorize an amendment to the 2017 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of funds between the projects within the Streets and Highways Bonds Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Decker Construction Company in connection with the citywide curb ramps 2017 Project 1, to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,113,474.73 for citywide curb ramps 2017 Project 1, and to declare an emergency. This project will construct more than 240 ADA curb ramps around Columbus, and these are based on the 311 service request. Ultimately, this legislation moves to make our city more accessible to all of our residents. And so, if there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. And lastly, I have Ordinance 1682-2017 to amend the 2017 capital improvement budget to authorize the city auditor to transfer cash and appropriation within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, and to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into a contract modification with HNTB Ohio, Inc. for engineering, technical, and surveying services in connection with the traffic signal installation Columbus Traffic Signal Systems Phase E project, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,250,000 from the Streets and Highways Bonds Fund, and to declare an emergency. This is the fifth and final in a final phase, series of projects based on the November 2005 Columbus Traffic Signal System Assessment and Strategic Plan. This legislation will transition approximately 250 existing signalized intersections to center traffic control system. Do you guys get that? we're switching, yeah, we're switching our traffic signals over to a more modern system. And this is the last phase of it. So I ask my colleagues for their support if there are no questions or comments.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committee.
You could have just said that last part and saved yourself heartache. Our next committee is Recreation and Parks, chaired by Councilmember Jiza Page. Chair Page, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. In Recreation and Parks this evening, we have 1461-2017 to authorize an appropriation in the amount of $70 million from the unappropriated balance of the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund to the Recreation and Parks Department to provide home care and assisted living services to older adults in connection with the pre-admission screening system, providing options and resources today, also known as Passport, Medicaid waiver program in Central Ohio, and to declare an emergency. The Passport program provides home care services as an alternative to nursing home admission for Medicaid-eligible clients. Services include case management, adult daycare, homemaker meals, personal care, respite, transportation, and emergency response. And approximately 6,500 clients are currently being served by the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging under the Passport program. I'm sponsoring this legislation with Councilmember Michael Stinziano, and if there are no further questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
By voice.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown? Yes. Harden? Yes. Page?
Yes.
Stinziano?
Yes.
Tyson?
Yes.
President Klein.
I have ordinance 1827-2017 to authorize the Director of the Department of Recreation and Parks to enter into contract with the Workforce Development Board in support of the Capitol Leaders Civic Engagement Summer Enrichment Program to transfer cash between the Neighborhood Initiative Subfund and the Recreation and Parks Operation and Extension Fund, to authorize an appropriation within the Recreation and Parks Operation and Extension Fund, to authorize an appropriation and expenditure within the Neighborhood Initiative Subfund, and to declare an emergency. I would like to briefly read a letter from a constituent in support of this legislation. He was not able to be here this evening. His name is Mr. Jeff Duffield, and he was a member of the Capital Focus Group. On July 10, 2017, Councilmember Page will introduce legislation that will provide a number of our city's youth with a 5-week educational opportunity, as well as a work program that would help them financially. If not for this program, these youth would be left on the street with nothing to do and nothing to look forward to. This program will go well beyond just 5 weeks of education, work, and a paycheck. This program will show these youth and others that the great city of Columbus genuinely cares about them and their future. Mayor Ginther and this city council are not just talking about building neighborhoods, you are making it happen. This great city is our youth to inherit, and this program will help them be a part of something they can be proud of. I would like to thank council for the opportunity to participate in what I feel is an open government. I feel it is a great step forward in creating neighborhoods and bringing those neighborhoods together. It shows that this council is committed to a government by and with the people, and there is also a mention of Ms. Rolanda Hampton, and he would like to thank you for your hard work as well. I would also like to thank the others of the Capital Focus Group. I was very impressed that a group as large and diverse as ours was able to discuss many different issues and ideas, and at the end of the day could come together on this youth program. I look forward to continuing to work with them on future proposals. I would be remiss if I did not thank Directors Collins, Messer, and Shoney for spending their time educating us on and presenting to us their respective departments' goals, processes, and clients. My extra appreciation also goes out to Councilmember Harden and Council President Klein for their support. In conclusion, I am asking each of you on City Council to help build our future by voting yes and pass this legislation. It is our responsibility to ensure the future of our city's youth, which will ensure the future of our great city. Thank you. Sincerely, Jeff Duffield. He's a member of the Capital Focus Group as well as an area commissioner. There are Councilmember Harden.
Thank you, Chair Page. I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge and appreciate the work that you've led of the Capital Working Group. One, for the outcome, which is an awesome program that will support young folks working this summer, which is really our job as a city to make sure our young people have opportunities. But maybe even more so for the way that you led this process to help expend some of your discretionary dollars through council by going out and working with community leaders to come up with the solution. The time that you put into it, the effort, the energy, your staff is greatly appreciated by us, your colleagues, and certainly by the community. So just thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you. Councilmember Elizabeth Brown.
Not to pour it on, but I also want to thank you. This is like just one of the coolest things that any of us has done, that you put together this focus group. And I really don't mean to pour it on because I'm not trying to embarrass you, but when I asked you about, oh, what gave you this idea to do this focus group, you said, oh, I was going to bed the night before we were talking about these budget priorities, and I just thought to myself, I should ask residents what they want. And that's a beautiful, simple notion, and I just want to say thank you for that example that you've set.
Thank you. There are no further questions or comments. I move for passage. Second. I don't have any further comments.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Thank you. That's all I have, President Klein.
Thank you, Chair. The next committee is Technology. It's chaired by Councilmember Stinziano. Chair Stinziano, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. Tonight in Technology, bring forward Ordinance 1347-2017 to appropriate $500,000 within the Special Income Tax Fund to authorize the Director of Finance and Management on behalf of the Department of Technology and various city agencies to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate universal term contract purchase agreement and state term schedule for the purchase of new and replacement of desktop computers, computer-related products, and equipment from 2 pre-established universal term contracts with Brown Enterprise Solutions, LLC and Smart Solutions, LLC from state term schedules with Insight Public Sector, Inc. and CDW Government, LLC, and from any future to be determined vendors' contracts to be bid and awarded that are not known at this time, to authorize expenditure of $550,000 from the Department of Technology, Information Services Division, Information Services Operating Fund, and to authorize the expenditure of $500,000 from the Special Income Tax Fund. Desktop computers, printers, servers, computer-related products, and equipment are being replaced that are outdated and/or obsolete. The computer equipment being replaced is used for the operation of applications that are vital to the daily operations of the City of Columbus, and replacement of these computers is crucial for the continued efficiency of the city. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I'll move for passage.
Second. Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Although it was a long title, that's all we had in technology. If I can move to utilities. Tonight, utilities bring forward Ordinance 1339-2017 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to enter into a contract with Crescent Electric Supply Company to provide for the purchase of Schneider electric motor drives for the Jackson Pike wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $34,556.76 to waive competitive bidding provisions of the City Code, to authorize the expenditure of $34,556.76 from the Sewerage Operating Fund. The motor drives are used to control the speed of a pump to control the flow rate of wastewater through the Jackson Pike wastewater treatment plant, which I'm going to be touring tomorrow to learn more about our city's investments into how our water is kept safe for all of the central Ohio region. And seeing the rain, there may be a lot of water flowing on the tour. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, Ordinance 1389-2017 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a construction contract with Shook Construction Company for the chemically enhanced primary treatment project at Southerly Wastewater Treatment Plant, to authorize the appropriation and transfer of $26,769,639 from the Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund to the Ohio Water Development Loan Fund, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $26,769,639 from said loan fund for the Division of Sewerage and Drainage and declare an emergency. This project, approved by the Ohio EPA, will provide additional wastewater treatment plant capacity to treat wet water flows in excess of 330 million gallons daily. This is one of 3 projects to complete the full plant expansion and will focus on upgrades and modifications to provide new clarifiers, sludge handling facilities, and chemical feed facilities. This project has been approved for below market rate loan financing through the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency's Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, which is administered by the Ohio Water Development Authority. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Second. Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Next, ordinance 1500-2017, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to modify and extend its construction contract with Decker Construction Company for utility cut and restoration services for the Division of Water, Division of Power, and Division of Sewerage and Drainage, to authorize the expenditure of $1,330 from the Water Operating Fund, $50,000 from the Electricity Operating Fund, and $400,000 from the Sanitary Sewer Operating Fund, and to declare an emergency. Various types of utility excavations are performed within the City of Columbus right-of-way by the Department of Public Utilities. The restoration work typically involves repairs of existing pavements, curbs, sidewalks in a manner conforming to the City of Columbus construction and material specifications. The department routinely outsources this restoration work to a contract that is equipped and trained to make these repairs. Typical types of restoration work that require outsourcing do involve the installation of wheelchair ramps, asphalt repair involving thermal bond heat weld repairs, asphalt milling machines capable of full width milling, and the delivery of flowable controlled density fill using volumetric mixer trucks. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Second. Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And the last ordinance is 1753-2017, to authorize the city auditor to transfer $1,422,822.68 between object classes within the Water Operating Fund budget, to authorize the transfer of $1,422,822.68 from the Water Operating Fund to the Electricity Operating Fund for the payment of unbilled electric charges for the Division of Water, to appropriate $1,422,822.68 within the Electricity Operating Fund, and declare an emergency. The purpose of this legislation is to authorize the city auditor to transfer funds within the Water Operating Fund and between the Operating Fund and Electricity Operating Fund to allow for payment to the Division of Power for electric usage that was previously underbilled. 2 of the meters at the Hap Creamian Water Plant had multiplier errors, which resulted in unreported usage and prompted the need for billing corrections. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Second. Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And that's all we have in my committees tonight, President Klein.
Thank you, Chair Stinziano. Any other business to come before council? We do have 2 non-agenda speakers, or we'll take upon adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We stand adjourned on regular meeting number 35. We're going to take the non-agenda speakers, and then we'll reconvene at 6:30 for zoning. Regular meeting number 36 will now come to order. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Page chairs that committee. All members serve on the zoning committee. Chair Page, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Klein. Before beginning the zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertaining to speaking before council on zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents and 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side, and we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the City Attorney's Office, we ask that anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against any council variance, including staff, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in. I swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. Thank you. Our first variance, 1543-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of Section 3332.033 R2 Residential District of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 3301 Parsons Avenue, 43137, to permit 2 existing single-unit dwellings on 1 lot in the R2 residential district. The applicants are Harold and Carol Stewart. The proposed use is 2 single-unit dwellings on 1 lot. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Far South Columbus Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Thank you. There is a request from the applicant to amend to emergency. Is the applicant present? If you could please come down to the podium and address council briefly on the motion to amend this to emergency, or your request to amend to emergency. Thank you.
Good evening. The biggest reason is because we've had this house on the market for a while, and we got one buyer who had a contract on the house, but because of the rezoning, when we found that out, he backed out on it. Then we got another offer on the house. He was aware of this, but it has taken quite a long time for him, and since he has sold his house, he has no place to live. He is living with some friends and family, and it's kind of getting a little bit sticky there, as you can imagine. So for his sake and for ours, because we were paying continue to make the payments on the home while no one's living there, to get this amended to an emergency.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Stewart? Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
I first move to amend to emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1552-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332-037 R2F Residential District, 3332-05A4 Area District Lot Width Requirements, 3332-21 Building Lines, 3332-26 Minimum Side Yard Permitted for the property located at 923 East Long Street, 43203, to permit a private park with reduced development standards in the R2F Residential District. The applicant is Capital City Holdings, LLC. The proposed use is a private park. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Near East Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, we do have one speaker, I believe, speaking for this legislation, Kathleen Bailey. She is the chair of the Near East Area Commission. Welcome, Ms. Bailey. Thank you for coming down. You have 3 minutes to address this council. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't need 3 minutes. It's a wonderful project. It's very well put together. There's nothing I can say about it, but what I wanted to say was this is the type of comprehensive development we have wanted to see. What you have here is the housing, you have daycare, and this is going to be a playground for the children. One of the biggest hurdles for workforce development, these are women, single men, women trying to go to school and improve themselves, has been childcare. And so we have a project where somebody can get up, get ready to go to work, go to school, what have you, walk down the street and drop their child out of childcare. So I just wanted to emphasize that. This project is fantastic, but it's the type of comprehensive development that I believe is really going to make a difference in quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bailey. Are there any questions or comments? There is a request to amend this variance to emergency. Is the applicant present? Thank you. If you could please come down and address council as to your request to amend this variance to emergency.
Hi, my name is James Dries. I'm the architect, and the reason we're looking for the emergency variance is the owner would like to have the park open by the time the school year is in session. So, you know, that's the last week or so of August. So working back the construction schedule to get all of our permits in place and so forth, we're trying to just expedite that process so we can get in for permit and final zoning clearance.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? Thank you. I would first like to move to amend to emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Variance 1562-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332-037 R2F permitted uses for the property located at 830 through 836 Berkeley Road, 43205, to permit a 4-unit dwelling in the R2F residential district. The applicant is Henry K. Park. The proposed use is a 4-unit dwelling. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Livingston Avenue Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, I would like to see if the applicant is present. There is a request to amend this variance to emergency. Again, is the applicant Henry K. Park or his representative present? Thank you. Seeing that they are not here, I would just move for passage without the emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1567-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 333302, AR12, ARLD, and AR1, apartment residential district use, 332105B2, vision clearance, 333909, area requirements, 333311, ARLD, area district requirements, 333315C, basis of computing area, 333319A2, building lines on corner lots, exceptions, 333322, maximum side yard required, 333323, minimum side yard permitted, and 333325, side or rear yard obstruction of the Columbus City Codes for the properties located at 141 and 149 West 2nd Avenue, 43201, to permit two-unit dwellings with reduced development standards in the ARLD apartment residential district. The applicant is Reza Riazi. The proposed use is a 2-unit residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Victorian Village Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? I would first like to move to waive second reading.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1579-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 336701 M2 Manufacturing District, 331221A Landscaping and Screening, and 336715 CD M2 Manufacturing District Special Provisions of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1640 West Belt Drive, 43228, to permit truck repair and parking with a reduced parking setback line and landscaping requirements in the M2 Manufacturing District. The applicant is Gabriel Obing Agiyukum. The proposed use is a truck repair and truck parking. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and there is no area commission. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, I first like to move to waive second reading.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1315-2017, to amend ordinance number 0059-01 passed January 29, 2001 by replacing sections 1 and 3 to modify the legal description and CPD text respectively for sub-area 2 for the construction of a Columbus fire station at 711 Wagner Road, 43004. This is an ordinance amendment. The proposed use is a single-family and multifamily residential use, a church complex, an assisted living center, offices, a light rail station, and a police fire station. The City Department's recommendation is approval. The Far East Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, I would first like to move to amend this variance to emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1620-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 335603C4, permitted uses, 3312-13A, driveway, and 3312-25, maneuvering of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1134 South High Street, 43206, to conform an existing single-unit dwelling with reduced driveway standards and permit a lot split for a new single-unit dwelling in the C4 Commercial District. The applicant is Austin Kalk. The proposed use is 2 single-unit dwellings. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Columbus South Side Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, I'd first like to move to waive second reading.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1633-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332-039 R4 Residential District, 3332-05 Area District Lot Width Requirements, 3332-19 Fronting, 3332-25 maximum side yards required, 3332-26C1 minimum side yard permitted, and 3332-27 rear yard of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 148 Buttles Avenue, 43215, to permit a single-unit dwelling, a carriage house on the rear of a lot developed with a single-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R4 Residential District. The applicant is Benjamin Nieswander. The proposed use is a carriage house on a lot developed with a single-unit dwelling. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Victorian Village Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? There is a request to amend this variance to emergency. Is the applicant present? Thank you, Mr. Nieswander. Thank you. Thank you for coming this evening, Address Council.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great little project. It's just a carriage house, and we're renovating it to a habitable space. We're just asking that it's be expedited for 2 relatively prosaic reasons. A, for the weather before it gets too inclement in the winter or the late fall. And also, my client would like to have his children and grandchildren there for the holiday season. So that's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you. I would first like to move to amend to emergency.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And I now move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1634-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 335603C4 permitted uses of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1208 East Hudson Street, 43211, to permit a single-unit dwelling in conjunction with a private artist studio in the C4 Commercial District. The applicant is Craig Knoll. The proposed use is a single-unit dwelling in conjunction with a private artist studio. The City Department's recommendation is approval. North Linden Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, I first move to waive second reading.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1639-2017, to rezone 541 Brill Avenue, 43223, being approximately 1.2 acres located on the west side of Brill Avenue, approximately 250 feet north of West Mount Street, from C5 Commercial District to M Manufacturing District. The applicant is BLS Rentals Limited. The proposed use is an industrial development. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Franklinton Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, I would first like to move to waive second reading.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1664-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332-035 R3 residential districts, 3332-21 CD building lines, and 3332-27 rear yard of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1080 Brighton Road, 43205, to permit a 14-unit apartment building with reduced development standards in the R3 residential district. The applicant is Gallus Zedek Development LLC. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Near East Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none. Is the applicant present and would like to make any additional comments? Thank you, Mr. Perry. We do have one speaker speaking for this variance. It is Near East Area Commissioner Chair Kathleen Bailey. Again, welcome to council, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, this is a night of celebration for me because I've come back here to say good things. There's no fighting, no fussing. This is a fantastic project. This is a plot of land that has been vacant for well over 30 years. And it's a beautiful project. Dave and the developers and the owners, developers / architects did a great job of very detailed presentations and also of incorporating architectural sameness from the other buildings in the area. But I'm here tonight because it went through without a hitch. No fussing, no. I'm just thankful. So I wanted everybody to know that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chair Bailey. We like to do things without fussing and fighting too. So thanks again for coming down. I would first like to move to waive second reading.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1689-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3361-03 Development Plan for the property located at 1920 Schrock Road, 43229, to permit the expansion of a private club fraternal organization in the CPD Commercial Plan Development District, and to repeal ordinance number 1107-2003, passed July 14, 2003. The applicant is Worthington Lodge, 1427, Loyal Order of the Moose. The proposed use is to expand a private club and fraternal organization use. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Northland Community Council's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Is the applicant present and would like to make any additional comments?
I'm here on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, I would first like to move to waive second reading.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
1696-2017, to rezone 1234 Steelwood Road, 43212, being approximately 7.95 acres located on the north side of Steelwood Road, approximately 1,100 feet west of Kinney Road from M Manufacturing District to LAR1 Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is the Griff LLC. The proposed use is an apartment building. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Fifth by Northwest Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, there is a request by the applicant to amend this variance to emergency. Is the applicant or the applicant's attorney present? DC Attorney Jill Tangeman. Thank you and welcome to council.
Good evening, members of council, President Klein, Jill Tangeman, Voice Hater Seymour MPs on behalf of the applicant. We've requested an emergency on this because the project was actually under construction when there was a change in the city zoning laws and made the project non-conforming. As a result, we're about to go into permanent financing, and the lenders asked us to resolve the non-conforming use so that we can get our permanent financing, and that's the reason for the request. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you again for coming down. I would first like to move to amend to emergency.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We have a companion variance for the same property, 1697-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3333-23, minimum side yard permitted, and 3333-24, rear yard of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 1234 Steelwood Road, 43212, to permit reduced side and rear yards to reflect as-built conditions of an apartment building in the LAR1 Limited Apartment Residential District. Again, the applicant is the Griff LLC. The proposed use is an apartment building. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Fifth by Northwest Area Commission's recommendation is approval. Are there any questions or comments for staff or the applicant? Seeing none, I would first like to move to amend this variance to emergency.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Variance 1489-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332-039 R4 Residential District and 3312-49, minimum numbers of parking spaces required for the property located at 2818 Joyce Avenue, 43211, to permit a shared living facility with reduced development standards in the R4 Residential District. The applicant is National Youth Advocate Program. The proposed use is a shared living facility. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Northeast Area Commission's recommendation is approval. There is a request to amend this variance to emergency. Is the applicant present? If you could please come down. Thank you for attending council this evening. And if you would like, please address council as to your request to amend to emergency and any additional information you may have about your project. We did table this at our meeting on June 19, 2007. This is the youth housing development on Joyce Avenue. Thank you.
My reason for the emergency variance is so I can expedite the building permit process and get on with the build and get completion. We've been presented from FCCS's pilot program, and we want to just get it done and make a good thing of it for them.
Thank you. If you could just speak briefly about the work that you do in FCCS's pilot program.
As part of what I do, I'm the property manager.
Do you have someone here from?
I do.
Okay. Thank you and welcome to council. You are from
the
National Youth Advocate Program?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, council. My name is Natalie Thomas. I'm a director with the Center for Adolescents and Families with the National Youth Advocate Program. And we are partnering with FCCS, Franklin County Children's Services, to provide services to youth and families who are at risk for losing their home, essentially. So parents who are struggling to work with their young people, there will be an emergency shelter services at this property, and we will provide wraparound services, family counseling, and reunify those young people back with their families within 21 days. So this is an attempt to keep youth in their communities, in their homes, with their families, and out of paid care.
Thank you. Councilmember Hardin.
Natalie, thank you for coming down, and thank you for the work that you do. Can you speak to last week or a couple weeks ago, folks came down and had concerns about like follow-up that would happen when engaged with some of the young folks that may be at some of the homes. Could you speak to that and about your relationship to the community?
Absolutely. And so from a services standpoint, when the youth is in our property and they're transitioned back to a permanent placement, either with their family of care or with a kinship caregiver, we will follow that family and provide ongoing services. Our goal is not just to move a youth from emergency status back into their community, but to make sure that placement is sustained for the long term. So the family could receive everything from family counseling, individual therapy, drug and alcohol counseling, and all of these services will follow them for 90 days with FCCS's support, and thereafter based on their assessed need. With respect to concerns by the general community, this particular property was previously owned by a different entity, and I think individuals in the community may have had some concerns about the population who resided in that space. We completely understand and respect those concerns. However, this proposed project is 100% different. This is a focused, short-term effort to provide intensive services to youth and their families to maintain stability.
Thank you. Councilmember Mitch Brown.
Thank you, Chair. I went out and visited the area last week and took a walk around just to check myself. One of the concerns was that the individuals were the calls for law enforcement. How would you speak to that concern?
Sure. So our staff who will be working on this property are adequately trained to respond to the behavioral health needs of our participants. They will be available 24/7. Only under extreme circumstances where safety is compromised would we need to call law enforcement. We want to prioritize their behavioral health needs, make sure that we're addressing their history of trauma, making sure that we're addressing all of their immediate needs, and staff are adequately trained. Law enforcement would only be contacted if there is an immediate threat to the young person, staff, or anyone in the area.
Are there guidelines for everyone once they're on the property, what the expectations are once they're there?
Yes, there are guidelines. In addition to that, they will receive enhanced training. So the staff that we have will be at a minimum bachelor's degree level staff who have gone through trauma-informed training, conflict resolution training, all the necessary trainings that would be required to not only anticipate the behavioral health needs of our participants, but de-escalate any issues as they may arise. I should also point out that the youth who will be on this property are youth who have little to no history of paid care placement. So their behavioral health needs will be on the lower end of the scale, which is why we anticipate successful reunification. So these are not high-end youth with extensive history of juvenile justice involvement or extensive behavioral health issues. Typically, the youth who will be placed in this property are youth who may be having some relational issues at home, and due to usually some extended stress on the caregiver, they feel they're not equipped to care for the youth at that time, and that's when we can go in and provide those wraparound services. But these are lower-end youth.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Well, thank you both for coming down this evening.
Thank you.
I would first like to move to take this variance from the table.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
I now move to amend to emergency.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
And I now move for passage.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Legislation passed.
And President Klein, if we may go back to variance 1562-2017.
Yes.
Thank you. I would like to ask this council to move to reconsider this variance. There was a request to amend to emergency, but without doing that request to amend it to emergency, we do need to waive second reading. So I would first like to move to reconsider.
Is there a second? Clerk, call the roll on the reconsideration.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
The motion carries. 1562-2017 is now on the floor.
Thank you. I now move to waive second reading of 1562-2017.
Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Second reading waived.
And I now move for passage.
Clerk, call the roll.
Brown, Hardin, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Legislation passes.
Thank you, President Klein. That's all we have in zoning this evening.
Any other business to come before the zoning committee? Seeing none, can I get a motion? Councilmember Page.
Thank you, President Klein. The applicant for 1562-2017 has just come to council chambers. He went to the wrong location. If I may have this council's permission to move to reconsider one more time.
Okay, so we now have 1562-2017 up for reconsideration. Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Okay, 1562-2017 is before council on the floor.
Thank you. I'll read the title again as I'm reading it. If the applicant, Mr. Henry K. Park, could make his way down to the podium. 1562-2017, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332-037 R2F permitted uses for the property located at 830 through 836 Berkeley Road, 43205, to permit a 4-unit dwelling in the R2F residential district. Welcome to council, Mr. Park, and if you could please speak to your request to amend this variance to an emergency.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, I work as a professor at Columbus State Community College and doing some real estate business. And since I acquired this property, I improved the condition of the property. So the Livingston Council coordinator said when she visited this property, it was the gem of the area. Just because it was all the business deal was done, I'm in the process of selling it. And then the lender found that it is zoned as R2F. So they had a problem lending the money. So that's why I applied for zone variance. And as soon as this is changed into R4F, the business deal will be done. And it is very necessary for me to expedite this process. So please consider the case. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Park. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I would like to move to amend to emergency.
Clerk call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Amended to emergency.
And I now move for passage as amended. This will be our final motion.
It's your final answer.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
Passed as emergency.
Thank you, President Klein. That is all we have in zoning this evening.
Thank you so much, Council.
Any other business to come before the zoning committee? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn regular meeting number 36? Clerk call the roll.
Brown, Harden, Page, Stinziano, Tyson, President Klein.
We stand adjourned.